Welcome to Studio B's Let's Talk About Art. Here we are with Linda Rohrbach Austerberry. She is a master gardener, a culinary expert, a potter, a painter, a humanitarian, so many things to talk about. But we will start by asking her about her influences. So talk to me, Linda. Tell me about some of the things that have happened in your life that have brought you all the fame, maybe fortune too, as an artist.
I think one of my biggest influences was my dad and the Rohrbach family being in education. I grew up knowing I was going to be a teacher from the time I was in elementary school. And I wanted to be an art teacher. That's what I wanted to be. One of the other people that most influenced me was my pottery teacher at college.
Yeah.
And there was a basic understanding of Japanese ceramics that permeated the whole atmosphere of what was happening in ceramics at that time. One of my goals was always to go to Japan. It gave me that goal. And to have accomplished that, I feel really good. And I learned so much in Japan that I had no idea about.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most intriguing things that I learned was that in Japan, when they were hunter-gatherers, the women would make pots to keep their stores in, to keep the grains that they collected, and those pots were some of the most beautiful pots I have ever seen. There was no reason for them to make elaborate handles and elaborate openings, but they did because they could.
Now behind you is a wall that your husband created as a testament to your creativity and your skill. And do you want to talk about any of those pieces back there when you were painting mostly?
Well, the most realistic of the paintings, which is the watercolor of the still life and the farm, I did when I was in 10th and 11th grade in high school.
Okay.
You know, that's what I did.
Okay.
I painted realistically. And that's what I wanted to do. The pieces that I worked on in Japan, I worked on orbs, you know, and I worked on the idea that the orb was a canvas on which I was decorating, painting and texturing and whatever I was doing to it. That's basically when the orbs pretty much started.
And you're still doing orbs?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I own a few myself, as a matter of fact. And I also noticed them, I believe, at Lehigh Valley Health Center. A really touching installation. Talk about that.
I had breast cancer I was diagnosed in 1999, and I did all my chemo and all my radiation treatments at Lehigh Valley. And I wanted to do something for them, and they had a garden that was their therapy garden. You know, you could go out there and
meditate
sit. So in the garden, I designed this sculpture, and 1 out of every 8 women will get breast cancer. And so the sculpture is called Duck, Duck, Goose, which is the game the children play, that one person's always it and running around the circle. So there are 8 huge orbs that sit in a circle, but one of them is outside the circle. And you know, it's like in Duck, Duck, Goose, you always get a chance to come back into the circle.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like I got my chance to come back into the real world after chemo and all that stuff.
That was a harrowing experience.
And I went through it twice.
I tell you what, I loved what happened to your hair. It grew out curly.
I had a white afro after
it was
chemo.
just amazing. And now it's gone.
So the curls are all
I hope
gone.
you have photographs of that.
I
because
do.
I just love
somewhere.
that hairstyle. But moving along. Okay, so cookware. Talk about how did you get there?
Well,
That was through
Catherine Elwell.
there you go.
And I was making pots, and I had a car mechanic whose girlfriend had a store in Allentown called La Belle Cuisine, and La Belle Cuisine sold nothing but the finest cooking, and most of it was from France, and it was all wonderful stuff. And Catherine wanted some potter to make a Yunnan steaming pot, and I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
So I had to research it, and it started a relationship with Catherine, and she said, well, now we need something for this, and now we need something for this.
Everybody within 60 miles of Boyertown owns at least one piece of your work, right?
Not quite.
Many of the pieces that you currently make and sell for people, what are some of the more popular pieces?
I think one of the most popular ones is I just call it a chip and dip, which is pretty generic.
Yeah, and brie makers.
I have a brie baker that you can take a wheel of brie, put it on the plate, put it in the micro. What I do is I put almonds and hot pepper jelly on top. And then I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it's just this incredible melty cheese goodness stuff.
I need somebody to cook for me. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about, the Moms Group.
Oh.
That was another piece of you that I really loved knowing about. At the high school, there were what, 8?
There were 8 of us, and the person who started it was Carol DeHaven.
Okay.
And Carol went through a very problematic pregnancy. She had twins, and one of them died. And she was bedridden for a month or so. And we all, all her friends took her meals and did all this stuff. So when she recovered from all that, she decided that was something that she wanted to do. And so we all gathered together, and so once a month we would do something good for somebody that was having a problem. We cleaned houses for people, we made meals, we did whatever needed to be done, and then we drank and had fun. Yeah.
But that organization lasted for...
It lasted until most of us had retired, and then we passed the torch.
And it still exists.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about legacy. And I know that you have a whole industry of creating coffee mugs and wine goblets, because as a retired teacher at Boyertown High School, that was the gift from Linda Austerberry.
Yeah, every teacher got a mug at the end of the year, and it's funny because the people that came after I retired all said, "Oh, we won't get mugs anymore."
But we're going to take a look in your studio to see some of the many kinds of things you created.
So I'm here with my chance with Linda Austerberry again, and she's going to show us a little bit of her work in her home because it's everywhere, and she's extremely multi-talented, and she pretty much makes all of her own things. Why don't you show us amazing cookware and everything that you have?
Well,
and tell us how it's made.
Well, when I got married, I didn't even ask for dishes because I make all my dishes, and all of these plates were all seconds from sets of dinnerware that I did for other people that didn't turn out very well. But I have all the plates. This is an interesting piece because this is designed to do beer can chicken. So you can put beer in here. It doesn't go through to the bottom. Put beer in here, and you stick the chicken, a little chicken on top of here, up his butt, and just bake it in there. It makes great chicken.
Fantastic.
But I have
so
almost,
it steams it.
Yeah.
And then you roast that in the oven.
You put it in the oven.
And all your stuff is oven ready.
Yeah.
Oven safe.
Yeah. And so I have you know, I have every plate you could ever imagine. I have friends pottery too, but casseroles, that's one of my
And show us your casserole dish, because I think your
you
lid
can
fittings.
you can see mine because I get all the crack pots.
Is that what you say about your friends? Okay, so I think that what is special about yours, as well as our friend Karen, is your lid fits perfectly. So did you make the lid attached and then cut it after?
No.
Tell us about your process with the lids, because your lids are perfect.
Well,
Do you make it separately?
you have to make, I make it separately. I make the pot with the lip, and then I have a calipers that I measure the inside of that lip.
Before firing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have to do it right away. And
Right.
it's
'Cause the
best
shrinkage, right?
Well, and it's best if you make the lid out of the same piece of clay that you made this, because every single piece of clay has a different moisture content and shrinks more or less.
Right.
So that's, you measure and then you make the lid right away, and then when it dries, if it doesn't fit exactly, you can sometimes sand it a little bit so that it does fit exactly. And you'll see in my studio, I have a whole shelf full, well, maybe you won't see it, but I have a whole box full of lids that never fit
That
the
you
pots,
can
and the
move
pots
around.
never,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so-
And real quick again, I noticed. Sorry to keep lingering.
That's all right.
I always notice this about yours. You have a very natural handle feel
Yeah.
on yours. Like I can feel my hand fitting beautifully into here.
Yeah.
And I'm just wonderfully impressed that you found a way to be creative. There's a little sculpture on top of this and on the sides.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your process. I see some slip involved and all that.
You know, you pull the handle. You have a piece of clay and you actually pull the handle so that handle fits right in your fingers. You know,
Beautiful.
so a handle will be on a mug. It feels like it belongs in your hand.
Right.
You know?
And it's very comfortable and solid. I can feel that's going to last a long time. It's beautiful. So show us what else you have. I see some. I love the reality of this dishes.
I just washed the dishes.
Beautiful.
So my batter bowl. We use these for salad all the time.
That looks like Pooh's honey pot. You know?
Yeah.
Very nice. And
But-
then I saw you had dishes over here.
Oh yeah, I mean, all my mugs, all my bowls. These are Kenny's. These are Kenny Stanhart, the person we talked about, who did these incredible. And look, to go to that detail on the bottom of the pot, he impresses me. So, but I have all, you know.
But don't you feel when you have things from artists that you either were a student or friends that you've either traded, or when you see those pieces in your home, you feel their spirit?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's your friends?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like
So you're surrounded by them. That's beautiful. Where is that?
This is a Karen Carnes. Karen Carnes is I think she just died, but she was a famous potter, and I got that at one of the craft
What was
shows.
that technique with the white is coming through from this?
It's a salt fire.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a salt fire piece.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah, which is you heat it up to as hot as it's going to get, and then you throw rock salt in, and the salt deposits on the pots and becomes
Repels
the
the
glaze.
glaze a little bit.
So old antique pots that are gray, all those gray with the blue cobalt designs, those are all salt glazed.
Okay. Your glazes. Did you mix your own glazes? Or
Yeah.
Were you, oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, I make all my own glazes.
And you're high fire, not low fire, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different type of clay. There's two kinds that I know of
Yeah.
that are popular.
And then there's my canisters that I keep everything in.
another great handle, flour. I'm going to just come over here and cook while you're on vacation.
Yeah.
Sugar. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And then it's really
That's an
beautiful.
old one.
And then back here, what do you
Yeah,
have?
these are all my pots with the utensils in them.
I, too, am a utensil hoarder.
Yeah. I
I like your wooden aesthetic. I have a lot of these same, I call them spoonchulas because they're smaller.
Yeah.
But we have that in common with the baking.
This is one of Frank Ross's pieces, and he was my teacher. This was his style, and it was interesting because Frank was killed in a car collision, He and his wife were both real important mentors in my life. And right after my dad died, I went out and spent the weekend with them because I needed to talk. And he was killed the next week. He and his wife were both killed in a head-on collision. So in the time period of a month, I lost my biggest mentors, my most important mentors.
But they're still with you with their work.
Yeah, and so one of my students was going to IUP at the time, and when he died, they had an auction of all the pots that were left in his studio to make money for a scholarship. So one of my students brought me this one. He bought it at the auction and gave it to me.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
I
You
buy
learn something
pots
from everything you buy, too,
I
right?
buy pots everywhere. I love
So
pots.
should we go? I'd like to see your the grain bin and your studio.
Okay.
Yeah. We go out there.
All right.
There's a B&B.
Well, we're working on that. We're trying to get up enough nerve to invite people, but in COVID, it's been something that we don't want to pursue at this point. But we turned one of the metal grain bins into it's an apartment kind of.
It's
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
The Hart House is my daughter's from junior high.
Adorable. Kind of the same shape as this building.
Uh-huh.
I just have to, and I see the retrofit to this Eames chair, which is probably something you could get a bit for online right now because they're very popular.
We have 25 of them.
I am a huge fan of the entire style. So it's really easy to see nature has completely influenced you visually in your work. And I noticed these little orbs, which you say you came back to later in life, right? 'Cause you started doing, is it pencil on here?
It's a special underglaze pencil.
So it's permanent.
It's permanent on there. It's fired on there.
And it's,
Yeah,
the
but
little,
it
was
works
this Happy Little Trees? I think that was the show you might have watched. Yeah. Beautiful work. But I see in here you wouldn't even have to tell us, everybody can know it's yours. Can you explain these orbs where you worked with little fibers and textiles?
When I was working on my master's degree, I was majoring in ceramics and minoring in fibers. So I set myself the problem that my graduate show was going to be combination clay and fiber pieces.
And I just want to ask, like, this is what is this ceramic clay? This is porcelain, right?
This is porcelain.
And what is this? It's reddish, pinkish.
It's just it's different clays.
It's just different.
different.
Well, these are really beautiful, and there's almost everything you could ever possibly need.
Except for mugs, because I don't have any mugs.
You're out of the
'cause I
mugs.
sell out of mugs.
Well, this could be a mug.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I do love, and I said this earlier, going to my mom's house, and I'd given her a few of your pieces over the years, and seeing you in Hershey at my mom's, so it does feel good. And I have to say, I really love this.
That's the bun pan.
Bun pan, that's really nice too. Or you could put a beer underneath it and stick a chicken on top. I'm thinking about it already. This is really, should we go see your studio working space now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Look at my beautiful view. I had an entire studio at my other house.
Oh, okay.
And I had to move my kill. I had to rebuild the kill, and I had to do all that. And I always knew that I would have to have a space.
I don't know if we got this, but we were saying earlier that although you have a slab roller, you're mainly a wheel throwing ceramicist, and you said it's because you find it.
It's very therapeutic. It's just very relaxing.
The zen of the spin and all. Yeah.
And these are all the glazes. These are all my glazes, and so my glazes take up half my studio.
And you mostly dip and less paint,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So how do you want to be remembered?
As a good teacher, you know, I'd much rather have people say she was a really good teacher than
Yeah.
anything.
We all appreciate, you know, all the many ways you contribute to the arts in so many ways as we've discussed today.
Good.
But once again, thank you for joining us at Let's Talk About Art at Studio B. We will have this conversation on our YouTube channel at some point when our very dear friend and videographer, Amy Muzo from Muzo Media Productions. We thank her very much for everything she does for us, and I'd like to thank once again Tompkins Vist Bank for sponsoring and supporting Studio B for many years and in these productions as well. Thank you for joining us.